Welcome to another interview here. I'm flying the metal flag, and I had the great thrill of talking to Tim of Adema, guitarist and singer of the band. And they're going to be touring as special guests with Ill Nino this week. Of course, the dates are as follow. They'll be playing this Friday, the 12th of September, at Sydney at Liberty Hall. And then on Saturday night, they'll be playing my hometown of Melbourne. Well, it's not my hometown. I live in Geelong, so just an hour away from there in the beautiful state of Victoria, of course, at Max Watts. And then they close the tour on Sunday, the 14th of September in Brisbane at the Triffid. It's going to be a huge show, Adema and Ill Nino. It's going to be beautiful. It was great talking to Tim, and yeah, we talked a lot of things. And during this interview, as we recorded it at the time, we found out the sad news of Megadeth splitting up. So we got to talk about that as well. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, sit back and relax. This is Tim from Adema on the metal flag.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. G'day, Tim. How are you?
Good. Hey, Craig, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, welcome to my show. It's called Flying the Metal Flag. And
Nice.
well, first of all, I've got to say, well, how have you been?
Been good. We just got off a tour, in the U.S. with Spine Shank and what do you call it? Why am I spacing? Oh, and Union Underground. Jeez Louise. We were only on tour for a month, and a band called Sixth Sense. So yeah, that was fun. And now we're back in the studio finishing up our new album.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's like in a way, I know you've put out a couple of EPs, but it's like nearly 20 years in the making in a way, isn't it?
It's got to be like at least, yeah, 15 years. Well, it could be 20 years since we've had the core of the band. So now, we have our original singer, Marky, essentially retired from music. And so the rest of us, the last four original members, we haven't done a record together for a long time. So like 18, 20 years. So yeah, that's what's been exciting about this one.
Oh, fantastic. So it's coming together quite nicely.
Yeah, we're just right now. I'm gonna do some guitars tomorrow. We've done all the drums and the bass and some a lot of the guitars, and then so it's just a few more guitars and some vocals, and then hopefully it'll be ready to be released. I don't know the release date that's going to be up to the label, but hopefully the end of the year, early next year would be great.
Oh, fantastic. So do you think you'll
Yeah.
be able to preview any songs on this upcoming Australian tour, which is your first?
Probably not. I mean, I would love to. Back in the day, you could get away with doing that, but now with the internet, it's like it's pretty much like you can't really sneak a song in anymore. Because then it just goes right to YouTube, and then everybody knows it. So we'd like to kind of control a little bit when it comes out, but we're definitely excited about playing Australia for the first time.
Fantastic. So that's been like 25 years in the making in a way, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think we had a tour planned for that area, like Australia and maybe like kind of Pacific Rim kind of stuff going on. But then Lincoln Park asked us to do a tour, so we had to go do that.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. But we thought, well, we at the time we thought, well, I'm sure we'll be back in Australia like in 6 months, and then it's been 25 years. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we're looking forward to it, mate, because you're a band that's kind of had a few ups and downs, so it must be really good that everything's coming together now.
Absolutely. We always kind of knew being like, and I'm sure especially with metal history or rock history, you kind of some bands can continue on and like the Corns and the Metallicas of the world and all that stuff and yeah, and have that awesome success and it's well earned, you know what I mean? But then a lot of bands sometimes will have some trials, and sometimes that style of music goes out of favor a little bit for a little while, and then if you just we just knew if we just always kept going that which we love doing it anyway, but we knew if we were still around in 20, 25 years, it would come back around again, just like everything else.
Was it, did you feel at the time that the new metal tag was a bit unfair on you guys? Because you weren't really a new metal band.
Not really. I mean, it was. I could see why people would put it on us. I mean, our lead singer was a half brother of the biggest band around in that world, and even they weren't even happy about the new metal tag. But and that was such a weird thing too because it's like anything else, and we talk about it all the time. There was a 5 year period where we'd do interviews and people would be like, you're a new metal band, and we'd be like, no, we're not. We're just a rock band, and then and then nowadays, we're doing, and nobody would go near anybody in new metal would go near that term. And now, we're playing like new metal revival festivals and new metal revolution stuff. And so I think people have come around to like that's fine. Call us new metal. I'm sure the hair metal guys didn't like being called hair metal at the time, but now they're just like, yeah, we're hair metal, dude, whatever,
Yeah, but I can never work out when there's ever a trend or a movement that every band has to be lumped within that movement, even though it doesn't associate with it.
Right. It's always about the time period. So I mean, there was a lot of bands that were lumped in that new metal that you just like. I don't know if that's what new metal is. New metal to me, I don't want to get in trouble, but new metal to me is like there's a lot more rap elements to it. To me, if you're new metal, and like Limp Bizkit is to me one of the like quintessential new metal to me or something. You know what I mean? So we weren't doing that. We had a little bit of that stuff in there, but not. We were more kind of like our band has always been made up of. I was a thrash metal guy growing up, so that's what I brought to the table. And then Mike was kind of a grunge guy, and Dave was also we all were Guns N' Roses guys, but he was like that, and he also liked, U2 and Depeche Mode, all that stuff. So it was all, to me, an amalgamation of like all those things we liked.
Did you actually, being a thrash metal fan, did you hear the sad news just a couple of hours ago that
No,
Megadeth have decided to pull up stumps. They've decided to retire.
oh yeah, I'm not surprised. I know that Dave's been going through some health issues, right, in the last few years, and so I know they've had issues with Dave Ellefson too, but that's one of my favorite bands of all time, probably. I just
Oh,
probably
they're
say top three.
awesome.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they're
yeah.
gonna
Like,
do a they're gonna do a final album and a global farewell tour. So yeah. So it
oh,
was
I have
announced
to.
today.
That's a weird. That's one of those bands we had never played with. Like we have, obviously, we didn't have many opportunities to play with thrash metal bands. I have met a couple guys in those bands, over the years, but never played with them. We just played a show last year with Slayer, so that was amazing. And so, but like I
Wow.
said, Megadeth's one of my favorite bands of all time. I mean, I listen to them. I mean, all the time still. You know what I mean? I love all that stuff. Yeah, I'll play a lot of Megadeth songs in sound checks and stuff too. So it's fun.
I think Dave should still be more recognized as being a pioneer of thrash metal as well. I think as well.
He was, and people have said it before. He's been in two of the biggest four thrash metal bands in history. So I mean, so of course, yeah. And then just the whole what you think about him personally or not, I don't mind him. I think he's hilarious. But like he just his talent, being able to play that stuff and sing at the same time, and just to come up with that stuff, is amazing to me. So.
Oh, it's an awesome talent. So who else has been some of your influences, not just in thrash?
Well, I mean, not just in thrash. I would say, I mean, I loved Guns N' Roses, of course. But I also grew up. I had, and I'll listen to those albums when I write an album. Or when I write music, I don't listen to them because I want to sound like them. I listen to them because it kind of reminds me of how, just songwriting. You know what I mean? And just like, and also kind of like you got to remind yourself that rock's got to be a little dangerous. You know what I mean? You can't be. I think you can
That's
lose
right.
sight of that. Yeah, as you get older, you can kind of go, I'm raising kids and it's great, but I got to bring some danger to the game here. And then, but I grew up also. I had an uncle and an older brother I listened to, grew up. I was thinking about today, like stuff like the Allman Brothers or Kiss or Van Halen, obviously, and things like that. But when I got to where I was like, what do I want to listen to? It was always thrash metal, or like Pantera was one of my favorite bands of all time.
Wow.
I love those. So my son's name is Abbott. I named him after, the Abbott brothers,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, so, so I'm a huge Pantera fan for sure. But I grew up, and I was a kid of the '80s, so it was all that stuff from, Billy Idol to whatever was in front of us, maybe. So yeah, so I mean, we're covering like on this new record, we're covering Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel. So we thought we'd try something like outside of the box. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, wow. That is a cool song, though, isn't it?
It is a great song, yeah, yeah. So and trying to like, kind of uh what's the word I'm looking for, but just make all those sounds in that song with guitars. It's been fun trying to do.
Wow. So yeah, so have you also got a big tour coming up as well after Australia as
We
well?
have we have nothing planned as of yet. I'm sure that we're going to start sitting down when we as we're finishing this record and going, hey, what do we want to do? Who do we want to go out with? I know that we haven't been to Europe in a few years too, so we're talking about that. And we've been trying to get down to South America, because we've never been down there. We have a pretty good fan base there, but I'm sure we'll do something in the U.S. and then who knows? And I'd love to come back to Australia and play the new stuff too at some point.
Fantastic. That would be awesome. So
Yeah.
so what are your other interests outside of music?
I've been I do a lot of stuff. So I I grew up in the sports world. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't you can't tell because I'm sitting down, but I'm like 6'9". So I played basketball, played college basketball, grew up playing American football and did some track and stuff like that. So growing up, it was sports and things like that. And with my kids, I've coached sports over the years when we're off the road, so that's been fun. So when I first moved to this town, I didn't tell anybody what I did, so nobody knew. I just cut my hair, and nobody nobody really figured it out for a while. But so that was fun. So I was like, like a little baseball coach and stuff like that. And I did doing a lot of stuff with my kids. I also am a big outdoor guy, so outdoors guy. So I like to go camping and I grew up in a small town in the Midwest here, and so when I go back there, I like to do stuff like that, just be out in nature, doing four-wheeling stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm into.
Fantastic. So was there ever that chance that you could have been a professional sportsman, athlete?
Maybe if my older brother was really great. My older brother was probably uh, he had some injuries, but he was a guy that played major college basketball and was probably a top 50 player in high school in the United States in basketball. But injuries got him. I maybe could have. I just always and I love sports for sure, but at the same time, I was you're when you're this tall, and my son's dealing with it now because my son's like 2 inches taller than me, but and he's 20 years old. But you can't really. There's not a day goes by that people aren't asking about your height, or it really is the only kind of physical attribute that really people can just come up to you and start talking about. Really, like anything else, nobody's going to be like, nobody. So I won't go into the other ones, but you know what I'm saying. It's like, and so you hear it every day, and then you kind of get afraid, like, is that you're defined by it a little bit? Even though I love being tall, don't get me wrong, but you just don't want to be defined by it sometimes. And music was always a thing that, to me, like, man, this is what I really, really want to do. I can remember being just man, I can remember being 5 or 6 years old and hearing Kiss albums and just drumming on stuff and getting a tennis racket out and running around like it was a guitar. And so I really couldn't imagine really doing anything else, and so that was just always in the back of my mind, like this is what I really want to do, you know.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm a bit tall myself. Well, probably not as tall as you. But one thing that I do get a great thrill out of is when like the old ladies when they ask you to reach for something at the supermarket.
Oh yeah, I just did that yesterday.
At least it's something we can do.
Yeah, yeah, we're helping society. Yeah, no, I get that all the time. So I don't mind that, and I don't mind kids. I don't really mind it at all, but I definitely don't mind kids. Kids, uh, they're pretty funny. There was on the last tour, I went down to eat breakfast at the hotel, and there were some kids down there, and I have gray hair now too, but there's three little kids, sitting there eating breakfast, and finally, the little boy goes, "Hey, we have a question for you." And I go, "Yeah, what's the question?" And he goes, "How old are you?" And and his sister started going, "Oh my God, that's not what we were going to ask. We were going to ask you how tall you were." And I said, "Well, I said that's okay. I'm 6'9". And then when I got done, the little boy said, "Well, yeah, but how old are you?" I go, I'm pretty old, dude. It's okay.
Yeah, kids are characters, aren't they?
I love them, yeah.
Fantastic. So yeah, well the tour is happening next month, September. So you're definitely getting
Yeah,
geared up with that with El Nino. So have you toured with El
right.
Nino before?
I would say like 23 years ago. I mean, there's something like that. I mean, I think we did sort of something like that. And we played a ton of, shows, like one-off shows with them, radio shows and stuff like that. And then not unsimilar to, or dissimilar to us, we just touring with, Spine Change we hadn't toured with in 23 years. But we did play a show with El Nino in Mexico City a few months ago called a New Metal Revolution. And so that was a cool show because that was like we kind of met, back up with a lot of bands that we toured with that we hadn't seen in a long time, like them and Drowning Pool and Kitty was there and the guys in Mudvayne. So that was a fun show because it was almost like 2003 all over again. We were all so it was fun to so that reconnecting with them, probably led to this, at that from that show.
Oh, fantastic. So my last question is, it's always this, what's the best thing about metal?
The best thing about metal, and I'm sure people have answered the same way, but the best thing about metal to me is it's always been a family thing. People, metal's always been pretty misunderstood over the years as something that's negative, where it couldn't be a more positive, genre of music where everybody's helping each other and everybody. I'm sure you've been to many shows where people have stopped the music to make sure people are okay, and it's always been the music's always been about we're the people that feel this, and we're the people that that can understand you, and that's the reason why I got into the music really was because I had all these posters on my wall, and I was just like, I just want to be a part of this. I want to be in a band where people listen to it and go, you know what, I go through that same stuff, and I deal with that same stuff, but at the end, it's we got each other, so we're gonna be okay. So that's the best thing about metal to me.
Yeah, we're a fantastic community, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for your time, mate. You're touring with El Nino on Saturday, the 13th of September. You'll be playing Melbourne, which is only
Yeah.
an hour away from me. I'm in Geelong in Australia. So
Oh, nice.
at Max Watts, it's going to be a huge show. I'm going to be there. It's going to be absolutely huge.
Awesome.
It's going to be a
Well, that's
big
great. Well,
event.
I'm looking forward to meeting you and having a good time.
Oh, fantastic. I'll be looking up at
Yeah.
you. So
Awesome.
and yeah, so I wish you and the band, of course, the very best in putting together this album and everything else that you do.
Thanks, Craig. Appreciate it, man.
No worries. Thanks for your time, Tim.
Uh, no
Bye.
worries. I'll see you soon, man. All right, bye.
See ya. Thank you so much for watching this interview here on Flying the Metal Flag. I really hope you enjoyed it, and so does Ben. So we would greatly appreciate it if you click the like button, or even better, subscribe to this channel, because there's so many interviews that are coming soon. So please stick around for them and even more, and even the ones that are here already. So please take care and keep it excessive, but most of all, let your metal flag fly high.